a family camping trip, a playful game of hide and seek, and a 7-year-old boy who never came back. On a June afternoon in 1969, Dennis Lloyd Martin vanished without a sound in America's most visited national park. His father turned his head for less than 2 minutes, and Dennis was gone. No cry for help, no broken branches, no trace. What followed was the largest search in the history of the Great Smoky Mountains, involving more than 1,000 people, park rangers, Green Berets, volunteers, yet not one clue would bring the boy home. For 56 years, the mystery remained sealed inside National Park Service archives until now. In 2025, after decades of public requests, the NPS released the official incident file, revealing at last the full account of that day, the terrain, the timeline, and the desperate human effort to find a child swallowed by wilderness. 56 years of questions. What really happened to Dennis Martin? Did the mountain claim him, or did someone else? In this full-length Crimes and Clues investigation, we'll retrace the final known steps of Dennis Martin, examine the newly released NPS documents, and uncover how this single disappearance reshaped every search and rescue protocol in the United States. We'll explore the events of June 14, 1969, the search that consumed the Smokies, the truth behind the 2025 file release. This isn't speculation. Every detail you'll hear comes from verified National Park Service records, archived eyewitness statements, and official investigative files. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park sits between Tennessee and North Carolina, over 500,000 acres of dense forest, ridges, and ravines. In the 1960s, this wilderness was both playground and proving ground for families seeking adventure. That Father's Day weekend, William Martin took his 2 sons, Douglas and Dennis, on a camping trip to celebrate summer break. They met up with William's father, Clyde Martin, near Spencefield, a grassy plateau high above the Treeline. The Martins had made this trip before, a family tradition. But on June 14, 1969, that tradition turned into tragedy. While Dennis played hide and seek with other children near camp, clouds rolled in over the Smokies. Within minutes, thunder echoed across the ridges, and the boy who ran into the trees was never seen again. What happened in those woods remains one of the most haunting cold cases in American history. As we continue this investigation, exploring the evidence, the search, and the newly opened files, make sure you're part of it. Subscribe to Crimes and Clues now, turn on notifications, and comment below what you think might have happened that day in the Great Smokies. Because in cases like this, every detail matters. Disclaimer: this documentary is based entirely on verified public documents, National Park Service records, and credible journalism. It contains no speculation or unverified claims. Before he became a headline, Dennis Lloyd Martin was just a boy, 7 years old, gap-toothed grin, full of energy and proud to keep up with his big brother, Douglas. Born on June 20th, 1962, Dennis was the younger son of William and Clyde Martin, a Knoxville family who spent nearly every Father's Day hiking in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. According to family accounts preserved in the official National Park Service incident report, Dennis was a bright and kind child, shy with strangers, fearless with trees, and endlessly curious about the world. His favorite part of the trip each year was camping with his father and grandfather at Spencefield, one of the park's most breathtaking ridges along the Appalachian Trail. Spencefield sits nearly a mile above sea level, a grassy meadow surrounded by dense, ancient forest. In 1969, few hikers ventured there except families who knew the trail. It's remote, beautiful, and deceptively quiet. From one ridge to the next, the forest swallows sound. A child's laughter can vanish in seconds. That weekend, the Martins weren't alone. Another Knoxville family, the Key family, were also hiking nearby, following a route that would later become central to the investigation. William Martin, Dennis's father, worked at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, methodical, experienced, and careful by nature. Clyde Martin, the boy's grandfather, was a retired outdoorsman who'd spent decades hiking these same ridges. To them, the Great Smokies weren't dangerous. They were familiar, almost sacred. The plan was simple: spend 3 days hiking, camp at Spencefield, and return to Cades Cove by Monday morning. The weather forecast called for scattered rain, But for the Martins, that wasn't unusual. In the Great Smokies, storms roll in as fast as they disappear. On June 14, 1969, after lunch, the Martins reached their campsite at Spence Field. Around 4:30 p.m., the children, Dennis, his brother, and a few other kids decided to play hide-and-seek among the trees. Dennis's father watched as the boys split up, his own son darting behind a stand of tall rhododendrons, promising to sneak up and surprise the adults. The other children circled from another direction. Seconds later, they jumped out laughing and shouting, but Dennis never did. William Martin called his son's name, at first softly, then louder. When there was no response, he began searching the nearby thicket. Within minutes, Clyde joined him. Within an hour, the call had spread through the ridge. Dennis. Then the weather turned. According to the official National Park Service log, at 8 p.m., a torrential downpour hit Spence Field. In less than 3 hours, over 2 inches of rain flooded trails, washed away tracks, and dropped nighttime temperatures into the 40s degree F. The family spent the night calling for Dennis under sheets of rain, flashlights dying, voices hoarse. By dawn, they realized they needed help, echoing into the trees, swallowed by the mountain. The next morning, June 15th, 1969, the Martin family reached park rangers. Within hours, the largest coordinated search in park history began. What followed would test every rescue skill the United States had. And even after weeks of effort, no one would find a single trace of Dennis Lloyd Martin. Before we uncover what happened next, take a moment to subscribe to Crimes and Clue and stay with us as we move into the search that changed everything. At dawn on June 15th, 1969, the Great Smoky Mountains were no longer just a park. They were a search zone. Rangers mobilized before sunrise. Radios crackled. Maps were drawn and the word went out. Missing child. 7 years old. Last seen at Spence Field. The search began with 2 park rangers and the Martin family. Within hours, more than 30 joined. By nightfall, nearly 300 people were on foot tracing streams, ridges, and game trails. Every sound in the forest, every bird call made them pause, listen, hope. But the rain had already done its damage. Footprints washed away, scent trails destroyed. The terrain was steep, muddy, and dense with rhododendron thickets called hells by rangers for a reason. Within 48 hours, the case was no longer a routine search. The National Park Service requested assistance from the U.S. Army's Green Berets, stationed at Fort Bragg. It was the first time in park history that a military special operations unit joined a civilian search. Their mission: systematically comb the mountain, grid by grid, in teams with compasses and rappelling lines. The Green Berets and park rangers logged the same obstacles: visibility less than 100 feet in fog, rising streams that could carry a child for miles, bear and wild boar activity in the region, multiple false sightings and duplicate trails. Search dogs picked up a scent once, a child's footprint near a creek, but it vanished beyond the water line. No clothing, no toys, no sign of disturbance was ever found. By the end of week 1, over 1,400 people had joined the operation. Rangers, volunteers, Boy Scouts, and even psychics offering help. Helicopters flew low with infrared sensors, hoping to catch body heat between trees. The search area spanned 56 square miles. But for every step forward, new storms set them back. William Martin never left the mount for days. In the official file, his handwritten note reads, "Please don't stop searching. He's out there somewhere." Rangers documented each nightly briefing, marking sections searched, teams rotated, and resources used. The report shows over 56,000 man-hours logged in less than 2 weeks, an unprecedented effort for the time. After nearly 3 weeks, the mass search was scaled back. The official log lists the status as missing, no further leads. But for the Martin family and for every rescuer who walked those ridges, the case never closed in their hearts. The Dennis Martin search rewrote the book on how America responds to missing person cases in the wild. But even after decades of new technology and re-examinations, the question still stands. How can a child vanish so completely in a national park full of people? Stay with us as we unpack what the 2025 NPS file release finally revealed, and why some details remain redacted after 56 years. Before we continue, take a moment to subscribe to Crimes and Clues. Hit the bell and share your thoughts below because your perspective keeps these stories alive. After the initial search window closed, the disappearance of 7-year-old Dennis Lloyd Martin went from urgent rescue to unresolved cold case. For decades, only fragments of what happened were publicly released. Then in 2025, the National Park Service, NPS, published a heavily redacted incident file. The full official narrative of the search effort, the terrain, and the rapid decisions made in the days immediately after Dennis went missing. For the first time, the public could read the timeline as the Rangers saw it. From the moment Dennis vanished to the tens of thousands of man-hours logged in the search. The official document states, Dennis Lloyd Martin, age 7, was last seen at approximately 4:30 p.m. June 14, 1969 in the Spence Field area of the Appalachian Trail. The record describes how Dennis split from a group of children playing and was expected to surprise the adults from a north to south direction. Within minutes, he disappeared. The rain tracker in the file shows 2.5 inches of rainfall during the evening, streams rising, visibility dropping. The file also confirms that the initial call to park headquarters was logged at 8:28 p.m. when the grandfather reached Cades Cove to report Dennis missing. While the 2025 release answered many foundational questions, it also raises new ones. What it did not provide: a clear explanation of how Dennis could vanish so quickly in an open area. Any confirmed physical trace discovered for the remainder of the search. Full disclosure, follow-up investigations, suspect files, or forensic reanalysis. The heavy redaction suggests that either information remained sensitive or was deemed non-releasable under FOIA. The 1969 search was monumental. Over 1,400 men combed roughly 56 square miles using grid-line teams, helicopters, and volunteer squads. By contrast, modern-day investigations emphasize data-driven terrain analysis, DNA trace reviews, and satellite imagery overlays. According to the NPS Cold Case Database, Dennis's case remains open, limited mode, with periodic reviews of archived evidence. The 2025 file release serves several key purposes. It gives the family and public greater transparency into the largest search in park history. It allows true crime researchers and investigators to compare past methods with current techniques. It renews attention on wilderness disappearance cases, showing how one boy's story changed how we search for missing children in national parks. For many, the unanswered questions in the file placeholder represent hope that someone, somewhere, still holds the missing piece. The original search in 1969 ended without resolution. The 2025 file release answered many questions, but also exposed where the investigation reached its limits. What's next is the toughest part. How do we process the fact that more than 5 decades later, Dennis Martin's fate remains unknown? Before we continue into how and the legacy that still echoes across the Smokies, hit subscribe to Crimes and Clues, leave a comment with your thoughts, and share this video so the case doesn't fade into silence. After 56 years, the disappearance of Dennis Lloyd Martin still stands as one of the most confounding missing child cases in U.S. history. Thousands searched, files were reopened, technology advanced. Yet there remains no conclusive explanation for what happened between the moment Dennis hid in the trees and the moment the mountain fell silent. The Martin case persists because it exposes the limits of human control in wilderness. The Great Smoky Mountains cover 500,000 acres of ridges, ravines, caves, and uncharted animal trails. Even today, with drones and thermal imaging, rescuers say it's still possible to lose a person within yards. Investigators agree on several physical factors. Sudden storm and darkness limited search response. Rising streams erased scent and tracks. Dense vegetation hid visibility beyond 30 feet. But beyond the rain, the greatest barrier is time. Each passing year erases more physical evidence and memories fade. According to search and rescue analysts at Kentucky Emergency Management's case study report, Dennis Martin's disappearance became the benchmark for lost child operations in national parks. It inspired standardized grid search protocols, mandatory weather tracking, and modern family liaison procedures. Specialists point to the case as a turning point where U.S. search efforts evolved from instinct to science. Yet, scientifically, the outcome is unchanged. No body, no clothing, no definitive clue. For residents near Cades Cove and park rangers who served during the search, the case left a lifelong mark. Some retired rangers say they still think of the sound of that storm when hiking near Spencefield. The central question remains simple but impossible to answer. How could a boy disappear within sight of his family in daylight, surrounded by dozens of people? The 2025 NPS file does not and likely cannot answer that. Instead, it memorializes the effort, the terrain, and the human heartbreak behind the statistics. In 2025, park officials confirmed that the case remains open and will continue to be periodically reviewed under the Cold Case Program. Advances in ground-penetrating radar, DNA forensics, and digital terrain mapping offer new possibilities for rediscovery. But the true legacy lies in how the case changed law enforcement culture. Compassion for families, respect for wilderness, and transparency in records. The Martin family's endurance is a story of quiet strength. They cooperated with every search, answered every interview, and never spoke in anger. Over the years, they have requested privacy, yet continue to thank rangers and volunteers who refuse to forget Dennis's name. To this day, visitors leave small toys and folded notes at the trailhead, a simple tribute to a boy whose adventure ended too soon. More than 56 years later, the silence of the Great Smokies still carries his name, Dennis Lloyd Martin. The 2025 file release may be the last major document of this case, but it's not the end of awareness. Every share, every comment, every discussion keeps the story alive and may one day bring a final answer. Before we close this investigation, take a moment to subscribe to Crimes and Clues, turn on notifications, and share your reflections in the comments, because remembrance is how the lost are finally found. 56 years later, the case of Dennis Lloyd Martin isn't just a mystery. It's a lesson carved into the history of America's national parks. It reminds us of the wilderness's beauty and its unforgiving silence. Out of one family's loss came change and transformation that has saved countless lives since. After 1969, the National Park Service rewrote its search manual, adopting what experts call the Martin model for lost person response. It introduced faster coordination between agencies, real-time weather tracking, and family liaison protocols. From Alaska to Arizona, every park search today carries echoes of that June day in Tennessee. Beyond policy, the case sparked a movement for education and awareness. Families visiting the Great Smokies today are briefed on what to do if separated. Stop, stay put, and signal. The lesson is simple yet sacred. Awareness is protection. In Knoxville and across the Smoky Mountains, the Martin family name still means resilience. Every June, locals gather to honor Dennis's memory. Some bring their children and remind them that safety in nature is a shared responsibility. The 2025 file release brought clarity, but also closure of a different kind, one that comes from understanding. For investigators, the lesson is methodology. For families, it's communication and persistence. For the public, it's this: the mountain doesn't forget, but we must keep remembering. As for Dennis, the search never truly ended. Each year, a handful of rangers revisit that ridge, quietly scanning for anything the forest might one day return. Because sometimes hope isn't about finding what's lost. It's about refusing to stop looking. This story is not about fear. It's about endurance of families, communities, and a human will seek truth no matter how long it takes. If you believe stories like this should never fade, hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and share this video to help others discover the case of Dennis Lloyd Martin. Comment your thoughts below. What do you believe this case teaches us about the fragility of safety and the power of hope? Because in the end, the mountain keeps its secrets, but awareness keeps them from happening again.